you, honey. Perfect. All right. So we're on borrowed time also, apparently.
Okay.
All right. So we're breaking into what... Do you just want to start over again about what the book was that you're reading right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So currently I'm reading Chasing Fate by Kat T. Mason. I did recommend one of her books in our trope episode with my love triangle, Chasing Love. Chasing Fate just follows a different people from the series.
Oh,
obviously.
okay.
But it's okay. Like I think I'm just to the point where I'm ready for the series to kind of be over.
Okay.
It's just kind of like, to me, it seems like the same song and dance every book.
Repetitive.
But you know, I'm already in.
You're into.
I'm just gonna finish.
I understand.
And I'm going to like finish this book hopefully tonight. And then I'm hoping to do one more book before the end of the month.
This month really snuck up.
It really
honestly.
did. Like, it's next week, literally.
Yeah.
And I've usually, you know, Danielle, that I usually like just spin a wheel and it tells me what to read.
Yep.
I decided to just
pick something.
Wild.
That's mood reader energy.
I know, and it's so bizarre, but they're two books that I've kind of been like dying to read.
Okay.
It just hasn't like picked up on it just hasn't been picked yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? No, I want to read these, like,
perfect.
And I think they'll both either be great books for the end of the month. So
perfect.
Which we'll go over, you know, when we do the wrap up episode.
So look out for the wrap up.
What are you currently reading, or how many are you reading right now?
So I actually don't know how many I'm reading currently, because I'm still I'm trying to finish presently The Hating Game on paperback. Not loving it. Actually loved the movie more.
The movie's superior.
It's so good. It's so good. So I actually think that the chemistry in the movie is a lot better than the chemistry in the book, which is wild for me.
We did talk about that.
Yeah, we did. And I'm a little disappointed, but I'm like 70% in, so it's not a DNF option for me, because once I'm 50%, I have to finish.
You're 70, you'll finish.
Yeah. So we're just gonna power through. We're gonna finish it. And then I'm still listening to A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the third ACOTAR book. Still powering through, listening and reading that one, which is great. Obviously, it's just a little bit different. There's less romance in it. It's a lot more like world things.
World building.
Yeah, well, we're even past world building, because it's like in the like war. I'm not going to give too much away, but
I mean, I'm not reading it.
Yeah, no, I know you're not.
I've decided to.
I know.
Step away.
I know you are. So this book is like mostly focusing on the war that's like going to be breaking out, has broken out in the book. So it's just not 100% my vibe. There's been a little spice, which we love, but yeah, just not it for me. So I'm still trying to get through that. Also stepped back into, I'm still, I guess, in my fantasy girl era, because I just am stepping back into Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is a current duology, and I'm gonna try and power through that before the end of the month. TBD, don't know. I didn't even realize that the month was literally gonna be over next week. So it's always that like last minute push if I'm gonna push for one more book or two more books. Because pushing
for one.
I did just finish Done and Dusted this morning. So it's very fresh in my mind. So
yes, I get that.
Let's dive right in.
So we read Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage.
Yes.
Which was phenomenal, by the way. I gave it 5 stars. And if you haven't read this book, please read the book and then come back and listen to this episode, because you'll hear all of our thoughts. But what to expect before we dive into our thoughts of like what you potentially thought about this book. What to expect is dual POV, healing journey, emotional, traumatic, healing in that sense. An ADHD representation,
which is so good.
Yes, I love that. Panic attacks, which unfortunately is normal these days for some. Small town, age gap, found family, and brother's best friend.
Yes.
You agree with all that?
Yep. And obviously, did you say cowboy romance? Because obviously, I think
sometimes I associate that with small town, but no, I didn't. But yes, cowboy romance.
And she's also a cowgirl, So
Yes.
it's both. So you actually
Yes.
get both, which is
Yes, she
amazing.
is.
We love it. And she's strong female main character.
Oh, I would say she's very strong.
So good.
Character.
Loved her.
Yeah.
I also rated it 5 stars as well. Easy 5-star for me. Easy. And I just really, really enjoyed it a lot. So I was a big fan. So
yeah, same.
where do we want to start?
Why don't we start?
Bear with us because this is the first time we're doing this.
Just want to like dive into your thoughts.
Yeah, let's dive in. I loved the main characters.
Luke.
Yes, Luke and Emmy, short for Clementine.
I loved her name.
Loved her name. Loved her name.
So fun fact: if you don't know, me personally, my last name is Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
And so Luke Brooks loved the name, literally.
Mm-hmm. No, she literally texted me and she was like, God, if I had another little boy, I would definitely.
I also have my tubes tied, so there's
yes, but I know
no going forward with that. But
yes,
it did not stop me from my husband coming home and being like, "Hey, babe, can we try for another baby?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I want it to be a little boy and I want to name him Luke Brooks. Yeah. And he was like, immediately no. Immediately no.
Alex was like, I'm putting the squash on that.
We're like, we're not doing this today. You're not doing this to us.
Nope.
We're good. We're happy with the 2 that we've got.
Yep.
We're good.
He was like, we're not doing this.
Yes.
Because you like are obsessed with the name of the
yes.
book.
He's like,
he goes, that's not
I
a reason.
apologize.
He goes, that's not a reason.
So I told another friend of mine about the same thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, get a fish. And I was like, okay, fair, but no.
No. You're like, no. Actually, it's less fun.
So that was exciting for me, at least.
They were such stellar main characters, honestly. Separately, amazing dynamic personalities.
Absolutely. Jumped off the page.
So good. And like fast read. 100% fast read. So if you're like, oh my God, is it going to drag? It does not drag for even a moment. Someone drew for a moment. And there was no dragging for a moment.
This is what I get. If you can see. That's what I get for leaving the book out with a pen.
It's fine.
When I annotate.
It's fine.
Toddler strikes again.
Always. We had a page rip while I was gone on vacation. I have not found which page, but there was. Charlotte did tell on Eloise and said that Eloise did take my books into the playroom. So
263 pages.
Yeah, super, but like fast. Like not even like
chapters aren't long.
No, you can knock it out so quick. But loved them separately. Loved them together. Loved. Like very much complemented each other so well. Like we said, brother's best friend trope is such a good one. Obviously it's one of your favorites.
Yes, it is.
But it was just such a great romance, honestly, because it was a slow burn, but like not too slow.
It wasn't like a Lucy Score slow burn.
No, I was actually going to say the same thing. Yeah,
it was more of a slow burn in the sense of like, I'm going to get you there.
Healthy build-up. Yes. A really healthy amount of build-up for a romance.
And you're going to get what you want, but when it actually hits what you really are looking for, you're going to love every second of it.
100%. And I feel like some brothers' best friends kind of don't hit 100 for me, because sometimes I think they're really uncomfortable because there's like so much emphasis on the guy being the brother's best friend.
Oh yeah, like what is he gonna do to me? Like what is he gonna think?
And
all those kind of things.
You kind of always had that like looming feeling, like through not in a bad way, because the family was very close, and he was
and I was just about to I think we're having the same thought here, is that they are not just like, is this my brother's best friend? He literally watched me grow up. I watched him grow up. We were his safe space.
Correct.
So Luke Brooks and Clementine's family is Luke's found family.
They took him in, essentially.
Yes,
and
he's a product of an affair.
So Emmy's older brothers, Wes and Gus, Luke is right in between age wise
Of
between Gus and Wes. So he very much like grew up with them, and obviously there is a smaller age gap between Emmy and Luke, but she always had feelings for him
Always.
when she was younger. So, but he was always kind of like, obviously, in the realm of, you know, brother's
Correct.
best friend, not, and her brothers. Oh, I really should have started with this. Very protective over her.
Oh yeah, if they're protecting her, Luke is
was
right there behind them protecting her, and like it happened in the bar.
Yes, and it's a really cool dynamic because, like we said, it doesn't loom over where you're like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen. I actually liked, again, really, if you have not read this book, please turn it off for spoilers, but do read it and come back because it's really that good. But when that does come to a head, like when it is found out, I felt like it happened at the perfect time because their relationship had already had a really solid foundation.
Correct.
And even though they hadn't said like, oh, I love you yet, their relationship was so solid that when it all came out on her terms, because it wasn't him that wanted to keep it a secret, by the way. So like that was really cool. I liked that it wasn't like he was scared, because he wasn't, because he knew he's kind of was known as like the town, like bad boy town, like
Trouble.
Heartbreaker, like, and that kind of looms as like what the brother had his issue with, is because he knew that his best friend was this way. And
correct. So like Emmy leaves, like this is where the book starts. Pretty much is like Emmy leaves town, is moved on with her life. Like she's left her small town. She is a professional barrel racer. She has this accident that no one really knows about.
No one, literally.
She's kind of hiding it from everybody, and she just has this sense of like, I need to go home. Like I just want to be home with the people I love.
So she's in Denver when this happens.
Correct.
And that's where she was living with her boyfriend who she broke up via Post-it note.
Well, I wish I would have known what the Post-it note said.
I know, amazing. Goes back to their ranch in Wyoming.
Yeah.
The Rebel Blue Ranch. And
well, it goes back to her friend's house, Teddy.
Oh,
who
yes.
is one of the best supporting
best friend characters
I've read
ever seen
in a long time.
Literally. And
I love her. I actually have a note in the book going, everybody needs a friend like Teddy.
She is a no-nonsense supporter, drops whatever it is for Emmy, and is her biggest champion, her biggest cheerleader.
And gets her because, you know, because Emmy struggles with ADHD
and sensory
issues and things like that.
And Teddy has been like childhood best friend, because Teddy's dad was in a rock band that then, when he found out that Teddy existed from a relationship that did not last, they went back to Wyoming. He got a job at the Rebel Blue Ranch working for Emmy's dad, and raised Teddy. And so they have been friends ever since, as their dads have now formed a friendship. And she's always been in Emmy's life, which is an amazing thing to have that kind of friend.
But because she's been gone, Emmy's been gone for so long, things have changed in her town. Mm-hmm. So she comes home, she's staying with her best friend,
and she never wanted
in hiding.
And you kind of alluded to it, but when she left the ranch, she never wanted to stay at the ranch.
There's something more out there for me, and I need to go find it.
And she did. And then
she literally fell on her ass.
And then literally
come home.
Done and dusted, where the name comes from.
Yes.
And
when you get bugged off a horse.
Yeah, and so she came back to this place that was not her safe space, was not the place she wanted to be, but she wanted to come back because she needed the comforting feeling of being home.
Yeah. Because
her family is very close-knit, and she wanted that, and obviously she had Teddy. Yeah. And she very much kind of hermited up when she got back, because she didn't know what to do, and she was not opening up to anyone, because even Teddy didn't know about the accident.
No, so Teddy takes her out one of the first nights she's home, takes her out to the bar, the town bar that you know, everybody goes to. It's the only bar in town. And look who's there.
It is owned by Luke Brooks, but
she does not
unbeknownst to her.
But then her homecoming date from high school, who left her high and dry for another girl,
Kenny, our friend Kenny,
puts his hands on her, and Luke about loses his damn mind and makes the bar band play Sweet.
What was it?
Sweet Clementine.
Yes.
Which I think is hysterical.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's hysterical.
So good. And she knew immediately that it was him, because the only other person that would have done that is her brother Gus.
And he was in Idaho.
With her dad. So she knew exactly who was there. Again, unbeknownst to her, it's his bar that she is in, because the bar was actually owned by his late father. And so when they kind of have that lovely little reunion, which we loved.
Yeah.
It was such a good, like, jump into their, like, dynamics.
And it wasn't, like, uncomfortable. It was, like, almost that sense of, like, coming home.
It was very natural. It was a very natural fit. Yeah.
You know, and then things start to, like, move forward a little bit. She's, you know, everyone found out that she's home.
They don't know why she's home.
No one knows why she's home or how long she's staying, but she already knows that, like, I'm staying for good. I don't know if I want to continue barrel racing. Like, she's having these internal...
Because her whole life is flipped over.
Yeah,
upside down.
and because this accident that she was in training horse
was pretty
scared
traumatic.
her and traumatic, and she can't get back, hasn't been able to get back on a horse since then. So then, you know, she's helping out on the ranch because they're short-handed. So she ends up helping out Luke in their personal stable.
Yes. And
that's when he really sees what's really going on, that something's not right. Helps her through her panic attacks, helps her relearn how to ride get back on the horse and ride.
And because he does do the riding lessons for the kids.
The ranch, yeah.
And one of her pivotal moments where she saw him in a different light is her niece, who is Gus's daughter, is a natural rider as well. And so she got to see him with her niece, and that was a really cool moment, I think, too, like, seeing, like, okay, he's maybe not this, like, super bad boy, like, vibes. And
they kind of, like, form a friendship. You know, not so much, like, hating each other, more of, like, tolerating.
Yes, with the undertones that they both have, that you know that both of them...
There's feelings there.
There's a lot of feelings.
There's a what-if feeling. Like, what if we did this kind of feeling.
Like, want to kiss him, want to kiss her, can't do it, won't do it, might want to do it.
Yeah.
Should I do it? Kind of vibes, but not in a bad way where it's like it goes too long. Like we said, the slow burn is not, it's definitely a very healthy buildup.
But like when he takes her to that spot, the swimming spot, I was like, that's so pivotal, because it's like his secret, somewhere where besides the ranch, where he felt safe and that he could call his own. And for him to show that to her was beautiful. Like, and it
provided one of my favorite lines, I think, in the book, and I would have to look at my quote, but we're gonna paraphrase it. Is he wanted to give her something to want to stay for, because he knew that she didn't want to be there, and he wanted to give her something that he knew would make her want to be there.
Correct.
Back in at the ranch in town, and that was so beautiful for me to like, because it showed that he had this growth of like as a person, like not the person that she
always
knew. And she was like, oh my god, like he's not that person. And even her dad was pivotal in that as well, in being like, he's got a big heart, like he's got, and his dad like almost
have that.
The dad almost was like nudging a little bit,
like, just go do it.
And like I loved that so much, because like it was like everybody was rooting for them.
everybody was rooting for that. Gus wasn't.
Gus was not, but Gus was.
Even Teddy showed up in his office and was like, "What are your intentions
with my best
friend?"
Well, and even Wes kind of had that moment where.
Well, even this. When I said, it's on. If you have the physical copy, it's on page 134. Teddy and Emmy are talking about Luke, and she says to Emmy, exactly, so maybe this is something and maybe it isn't, but you'll never know if you keep trying to fit Brooks in the same box you've had him in since you were 13. This version of him might be new, but I think it's worth getting to know. And I was like, Teddy is such a good friend. You want Teddy in your life to push you to outside of your comfort zone.
I need Teddy's book yesterday, honestly.
I need Teddy and Gus's book tomorrow.
I know. It's going to be so good.
But that is one thing where I was just
it was so good. And it was the way that because normally there's like you said, there's always there was the one that did not want them together. But thankfully, what I loved about the way she structured the story is it never felt like you were waiting for that breakdown. For someone to find out. Because everybody kind of
well, he straight up after the first time they slept together.
Yeah.
And Wes showed up, but didn't make a thing about it. He figured it out because she was wearing the t-shirt, right?
She was wearing the t-shirt, and his truck was there
and
at
his
the
truck
ranch.
Was still at the big house. But it was still at the big house.
Yes, but he was not, and he was like, "Oh, why is Brooks? Brooks wasn't at the stables and blah blah blah."
Or have you seen Brooks? And his truck is still here.
His truck is here, but he's not, and he's here really early, and so his truck must still be here.
Must be down at the stables, but in reality, he was in her small cabin
on the ranch
in the bathroom.
Yes.
But he comes out and asks her, I will not be your secret. I've always been the secret because of his parents' affair with each other. That resulted in him and his stepdad never accepting him, his brothers never accepting him.
Because he looked just like his dad.
Well, and even his mom really never accepting him either.
Oh, yeah, and we get that later, but...
but still, that's... I get why he didn't want to be her secret.
Oh, yeah, and
she personally was I have so many other things I need to overcome before I overcome this, and the dynamics that will shift...
And he was waiting. He said, he was I will wait until you're ready. And he helps her to get back on the horse, helps her to train, helps her to overcome these issues.
Or her struggles.
Exactly.
Her struggles of the sensory stuff.
Well, and I'm talking about the issues her mental
and the
barriers.
The mental blocks of getting back on the horse, and she ends up competing and she ends up beating her hometown record anyway. Because
she hasn't competed in her hometown in a really long time.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because you kind of first got their public moment when there's the creepy guy at the bar, and then he puts his hand on her leg, and
Luke Brooks can defend me any day.
Sorry, honey. Loses his absolute mind. We can go into. He is something else.
His mouth.
He is. The spice was impeccable. Yes. Honestly, it was so good. It was not, and I'm of the what is the thing? I'm the school of thought that I like spice in books, but I also need there to be a very good plot line. I need there to be more.
Yeah.
And I know some people, that is not their jam. They just want the spice, and that is fine.
Yeah.
I need both. I need the romance with the spice, and boy, did we get both.
Yes, we definitely got both.
And it was worth the wait. Let me just tell you.
It was. It was every scene that they had,
so good. The tension, the chemistry. Oh,
you
so
could
good.
Feel it.
No, you could feel it. And even Sugar was his chosen pet name, and it was, you could literally hear him saying it. In my head, I could hear him saying it, and it was
Sugar.
So good.
Sugar.
It was so good.
I loved it. Yeah, no, it just, he always, I have so many notes in this book that have, that was hot, that panting for this man.
It was hot. It was hot. He was hot.
He was good. But I found it where you were talking about her dad like being supportive of Luke and saying like he's bigger. Luke isn't reckless. He has never been. He is careless sometimes, impulsive and hasty, which is probably why he ended up with his nose broken more times than I can count. But it's hard to care when you don't have anyone or anything and there's no one around to care about you. Luke is kind of like a stray dog, rough around the edges, in need of a little structure and a healthy dose of love. He has good days and bad days, granted. I haven't had to bail him out of jail for a few years, which I'm damn pleased about. It took a long time for him to trust me, so trust Gus and Wes when we say he was welcome here. He never stopped showing up, and eventually he showed up for us in everyday sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, whether or not he wanted to be part of that, he was part of that family. They were, because he constantly showed up, and that's exactly what Luke did for Emmy the entire time Emmy was coming back into town, which was showing up for her in ways that she's never been shown up for before.
And one of my favorite quotes, which obviously was the premise of the book, was he says when she's kind of grappling with going back out there and getting on the horse, he says, "Sugar, you don't deserve to go out on your own you deserve to go out on your own terms. Just because you got dusted doesn't mean you're done." Because she had obviously fallen and was unsure if she was going to go back on and do this at all. Yeah. And he was her biggest champion from day one when nobody else knew. And eventually she did allow Teddy in and share.
How about when she was standing there, getting ready, and Teddy came to check on her, and she was like, "Go get Luke," because she could felt herself like collapsing within herself, and
he was the thing that brought her forward
back out,
which was amazing.
And got her butt on that horse, competed, beat her record, and when everyone came to congratulate her, all she wanted was him. And that's when Wes found out. That's when
not Wes, Gus. Wes did also find out, but
Gus did not take it well.
And
he punched him in the face. But you know what? He took it on a chin like a champ.
And I think that's the character development that Emmy needed to solidify that he was not the same guy. Not that Emmy had any questions, she wasn't doubtful by that point, but I think that was the solidification. That was it. That he just wanted her. He didn't want to he trusted her. He didn't even say hey, this wasn't me keeping it a secret. He didn't until they had the conversation about it. And that's where Gus was like, "Oh my God, you're genuinely in love with my sister."
And that conversation when he showed up at his house and was like, "She's miserable, she won't talk to me."
Yeah.
Granted, I wouldn't talk to my brother either, but
absolutely not.
Also I don't have a brother, so I can't relate to that, but I'm sure if I was ever in that situation, I wouldn't talk to my brother either after he punched somebody that I loved in the face like that. Unwarranted, truly. You know what I mean? It just, overall, obviously, you've read the book, you're listening to this,
you're here with us.
You know that they end up together. I think it's so cute that, actually, you know what? I thought it was really great that it wasn't oh, now we're together, let's get engaged, let's get married. It was, we're together, we're living these weird separate, you're still at the little cabin at the ranch, I'm living on the property behind the bar that I inherited. But let's here's a key, move in.
Yeah.
And it was a
very natural progression.
And I appreciated that because it doesn't always have to be so cut and dry. Well, and there's 4 more books.
Okay,
there's
so
3
I was
more books.
Literally exactly going to say.
Maybe we'll get there that eventually.
I do believe this is a happy ending that's going to stay a happy ending. I don't believe that they're going to rock this boat at any point during the series. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
I think that they're a pretty solid couple. Because sometimes when you're in when you read interconnected standalones, sometimes when couples get their book, you're bro, I don't think you're gonna like last past like 5 more pages sometimes. And I just don't feel that. Plus, like I said, we're getting multiple more books involving these same characters, which I am thrilled to be in this world. And I had told Amber when I was reading it, because she had finished it already when I had offered this thought. Because her and I both read the Chestnut Springs series.
Yes.
And while the concepts feel similarly, while yes, it's like family ranch, multiple brothers, you know, that kind of vibe. Just because you've read that and you're like, oh, like I don't want something.
This is more in depth.
That's how I felt as well.
I feel like there's more.
The character development I felt like was stronger.
I can agree with that.
Don't get me wrong, the Chestnut Springs. Love. Series, yes. But and here's the thing, if you do love Chestnut Springs, obviously you've already read it, like here, but like those are great fast-paced,
also
small town romance.
I just think this is more in depth, not just in like their relationship and like the background of everything, but like the knowledge behind the horses and like things like that.
You just get more detail, which is funny because the book is so short. I think it's a little bit shorter than Chestnut Springs.
I think so, yeah. I think Chestnut Springs is like 300.
Something, yeah. These just felt really like full. Like it felt like whole. Like you got like all different aspects. You got these point of views that were very fleshed out. You got these characters that you came to really care for. Yeah. And like I really loved that. Like I'm actually genuinely excited to, and I love myself an interconnected standalone series. And I normally don't start on book 1. Don't ask how, don't ask why. It just is a thing that happens. Sometimes I don't know that there's another book. It's whatever. But I'm like really excited to like stay in this world as more books come out. Like to stay.
I am too. Because I'm invested in Wes. I'm invested in Gus and
Teddy
and whoever the mystery
characters
are that are coming as well. Danielle and I could not remember if when we announced that we were reading this book, if we said the next one was coming out in March.
So
because it's supposed to come back out in fall of 2023.
So here's the thing.
Because this said at the end of this book, in the physical copy, it says Swift and Saddled coming fall of 2023. But then when you look it up on your Amazon or Kindle.
So I actually found out why.
Okay, perfect.
So she got picked up by a publisher.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing. So the book Kindle version was supposed to be out in October. Has now been, and the paperback would have been coming out in March. Okay. So it has not been updated on Goodreads yet, but I remember seeing her post. I just thought of it as we were doing this because it just made sense to me. Is that because she got picked up by a publisher, it is now the Kindle version is also being published in March, which someday, really
March
sad about it.
March 2024 will be the second book, Swift and Saddled.
Covering her brother Wes. And you get the premise of what that book is in this book. If you picked up on it, it was quickly alluded to.
Yes.
Because of the presence of him getting the guest ranch on
and it's going to be like Country Boy City Girl vibes.
Because she's going to design the guest ranch.
That's my assumption. I don't read synopsises. I don't read all that stuff. So I avoid it at all costs.
But that is the trope.
That was my interpretation when I heard it was going to be.
And can we please hope for the third book being
Teddy and Gus?
Because the enemies to lovers that I need in my life.
The way those two banter, I'm obsessed. I love a good banter sesh.
I mean, and their banter is amazing in this book. So, I can only imagine in their books with their perspectives. Oh my God. And it'll be single dad trope, which we love.
I do love a single dad trope.
I know.
Single mom trope, I like that too.
Which we're also getting a single dad trope in, what's it called? The Caught Up in for the next Liz Tom Ford book,
which I'm so excited about.
Which will be our read for
October.
That's right.
Even though it comes out next month. Well, no, it's November. We picked November because it's like October. Yes.
Okay, so we have to pick a new book for October, I guess.
I mean, we could put it in October.
No,
we can talk about it.
No, we can't, there's no way because we're not going to get it early. Unless Liz Tomford, if you're listening, if you would love to send us an ARC, we would love to have that and give you all of our thoughts.
It comes out 10/10. We could technically read it.
Oh, okay.
In October.
Okay, so scratch that. All the things. Liz Tomford, you can still send us an ARC if you are listening to us. We will take it.
Huge fans over here.
Big, huge fans. I know we're talking about Lyla Sage's book. Also, she can send us an ARC of Swift and Saddle as well. We will take that as well.
These are my favorite quotes. I had 2 out of the whole book. I had 2.
Okay, so you do yours and then I'll do mine.
I keep track on my little note card and then I star the ones that I like really hit. So this one, if you have the physical copy, it's page 149, and it's Luke talking to Emmy. I'm serious, Emmy. I don't know when it happened, but I like you. I like you a lot more than I freaking should. And I know you shouldn't do this. And I know we shouldn't do this because a million things could go wrong, but you feel so right. And I love that.
So good.
It's like,
it's so
just
him.
Pure honesty. It's so him. You are so right by saying that. And my other one is Emmy, and I believe that she's talking to Teddy. Yeah, it's page 80. It's like kind of like the whole conversation, but like a big piece of it was, I don't want him to feel like he's a secret, but I also don't want to announce this to the world and watch his friendship with my brothers implode while I'm still trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Because the reality of the situation is I don't actually know him that well, and I don't know if this whole thing is real or as it feels when I'm with him. Like, it's just like she adores him, but she's not sure if it's real or if it's just because he's helping her. And like she slowly starts to see, like, when he continues to just show up and show up and show up and show up when she needs him the most, that's when I think that like shift changes for him. But truly, I never think that she actually wanted him to be a secret. I just think she had to, in her mind, come to terms with her own thoughts and like process, like, this changes everything.
Yeah.
This goes wrong, it changes everything. Is it worth the risk? Honey, it is worth the risk.
It absolutely is. The 2 quotes that surprisingly were not the same as yours, which is ironic. One of them was was Luke talking about Emmy. And it says, Emmy Ryder might have been in like with me, but it was then that I knew that I was falling in love with her, which I love it. He falls first trope so much.
I have that highlighted in
you
here.
Do?
Like, it's tabbed for sure. I just, like, I did pick that as
my other.
I thought that was so, like, for
so
me, it was
good.
obvious.
Oh my gosh. And then the other one was, Emmy was worth the wait. I'd been waiting 32 years for her without even knowing it, and she'd been right in front of me the whole time. And it's so good. And I just love that. It was just such a solid read, honestly, and I just love that.
I think this was a great one to start on. And that brings us to
next month.
For September, we are going to read In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. It is on Kindle Unlimited. So if you want to read along, we would love for you. And please, I'm gonna make a little graphic that you'll find on our Instagram at Tropes and Tantrums. If you have not followed us, please follow us there. But then please tag us on Instagram if you're gonna read with us. Yeah,
screenshot it. We want all the people, and leave us your thoughts on this book. How you like it?
Yeah. What did you give it? What was your favorite
quotes? All the things. We want to hear about it.
Yeah,
so
if
you listen, make sure to take a screenshot so we can share it with everyone. Don't forget to follow us everywhere you listen to podcasts. And thank you guys for enjoying our first book recap episode. It's been so much fun. I love this.
One thing we did forget was to ask for questions. This was like spur of the moment.
Well,
we just threw this one together.
Next month we'll ask for questions.
Yes,
if you have questions, feel free to leave them for us, and we will answer them in our wrap up episode too.
Yeah, we would love to do that.
Because obviously we're not going to talk about this book as much in the wrap up episode, but
we did, so we will cover it.
We will wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you have a stellar rest of your day.
You guys have a good one. Thanks for listening.
Bye. All these people are here.
I know. I don't think we're gonna get one more episode.
I know. No, my gosh, there's 0 chance because it's already 4.
Yeah. Next time we gotta start with the mom episode.
I know. We do.
Slacking on that one.
I know. And we, now at least we like have like how we want to situate this.